Welcome to another episode of the Now I Know podcast, where we cover topics to support your mental health and well-being whilst breaking stigmas and taboos in our society. My guest for today is Naroop. Welcome, Naroop.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to give a bit of a backstory about this episode. So a year ago, I did an episode for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I had three of my friends. It was Bob, Roops and Suk. They were quite worried to be really open about their feelings and their challenges and how they overcame them. But the knock-on effect and the ripple effect of that episode was absolutely amazing. I had more of my male guests saying, we need more men on the podcast speaking up. We need to normalise people talking about their feelings. And this year, I still wanted to do that for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, which is next month. But what I really wanted to do was focus on dads. Because I've got a lot of friends who sort of say, look, Resh, there's a lot about single mums out there, but there's not enough about single dads. And you're someone who's very relatable. You've been through a journey and you're doing lots of work for single dads out there, especially single dads of colour.
Yeah.
But before we deep dive into your dad's project, tell us a bit more about who is Naroop.
That's an interesting question. And I think something I ask myself every day, who am I? I started off as the wannabe owner of my dad's company. So my father and mum had a huge clothing factory. My dad had inherited it from his father-in-law. And they had factories here and in India. It was doing great. And throughout my whole childhood, my goal was to run the company with my dad. So I studied business at university, even though I was always creative. And one of my first experiences of knowing that I was creative is when I went to the National Art Gallery on a school trip. I went to a school called Latimer in Hammersmith. And I was staring at this painting for like 5 minutes. And the teacher said, Naroop, what are you looking at it? Why are you looking at it so much? And I said, sir, it says here that this painting was painted in like 1545. I go, but it's still here now. And we're still talking about it. And he goes, that's the beauty of art. And that made me realize, and one of the reasons why I have tattoos too is that I love the idea that you can create something once and it lasts forever. That for me is a beautiful thing. Some people fear that. Oh, if I got a tattoo, I'm going to regret it. No, I love that idea. So even though I was creative, I still knew I would work with my father. I was in fashion. I still thought I could have an outlay, creative expression and express myself creatively. But the year I started working with my dad, a couple of business decisions didn't go his way, and that company went bankrupt within that year. So when I was 21, I saw the fall of my dad's empire, which was a difficult process for me because I went from going to private school, got a great degree, got a 2-1, just missed out on the first. And now I was at market stall selling old stock. Stood there with mum and dad. But what I did learn is you can never take anything for granted. I saw the resilience that my parents have on rebuilding. And my dad told me a story, which I always remember. And I do always tell people this because for me, it had a profound effect at a young age. He said when he had his business at his height, he used to go to India and his car would pull up, and you know what it's like in India. Everyone respects the boss. Boss up, boss up. He'd get out of the car and everyone would fight to carry his briefcase because the boss is here. Let me show him respect. So when the business did close here, he had to start driving cabs, right? Doing cab driving. And he said, Naroop, I went from having my bags carried for me to having to carry other people's bags. You know, when it's unloading people's bags for them as a cab driver. He goes, never take anything for granted. So that I learned a lot. I learned one, that I wanted to still be in business, but I wanted to be my own boss, right? I didn't want to do anything for anybody else. And that you have to work hard. And even though I had a private education from 3 years old, it didn't mean that anything was guaranteed for me. So my brother then got signed to a record label while I was coming out of working with my parents. And I had this really simple idea. I was like, look, my brother's got signed to Virgin Records. I want to do something. I don't know what, right? Let me try to go work in music because my brother's doing it. And then I had a friend of mine who was a Hindi singer. I said, I'm going to manage this guy. I went to uni with him, right? And my idea was so simple in my mind. I will do for my friend what my brother's managers are doing for him.
Okay.
Right? So I'll just follow the mold. I'll just duplicate it, and then he'll be successful, just as successful as my brother, right? 21 years old. Thought it was foolproof. First thing they said to my brothers, you need to get a photo shoot done. Let's get some press photos. I'm like, boom, photo shoot. So my now business partner, whose name's Amit, who's also my cousin, his dad was a up and coming. Well, it wasn't up and coming. He was a enthusiast in photography and filming, etc. And so he had just bought the first stills digital camera, Fuji, right? So this is when digital cameras first came out. So for us, our barriers to entry into photography was minimal because we didn't need to have to learn how to develop film, all the different types of film and all that, which really is an art form. And I still haven't shot on film in photography. So we could now take a photo and see instant results. Obviously, there was no camera phones, smartphones then, right? This is a good 21, 22 years ago. So I said to him, I go, Uncle, I know you start to take photos. Do you mind taking some photos of my friend? Because I need to get a photo shoot done. He's like, sure, Naroop. Day comes of the photo shoot. I knock on the door and he's like, hi, what's up, Naroop? I said, I'm here for the photo shoot, Uncle. I've got my friend with me. And he said, oh, I forgot. And I was like, Uncle, come on, man. And then Amit, literally, I can remember it. He walks into the hallway behind him. He goes, I'll do it. Right? And I was like, what? And obviously, I didn't know. Amit was younger. He was 19. And I was like 21, 22. So there was a little age gap. I thought I was a bit older and cooler.
Yeah.
And I said, are you sure? He goes, yeah, I've been playing around with Dad's camera. So me and Amit went and did this shoot with my friend just on the canal in Hayes, not far from here, right?
Yeah.
Behind the Tesco's building. And the shoot came out really well. And we were surprised. And the way it was working was Amit was taking the photos, but I was kind of giving direction as well. Let's try this, try to do this. Let's put this outfit on. So a bit of creative direction, bit of directing, helping Amit with some of the camera settings as much as I could, understand. And then his dad saw the photos and said, you guys have done a really good job for two people who have got no formal training. And from there, we said, do you think we should start doing this? Because Amit had started uni but dropped out. And he said, what do you mean? I said, let's just start trying to do some photography together.
Yeah.
And that was literally the birth of Amit and Naroop.
Wow.
And from that one day, we started to then network and navigate through some of my brother's friends who were up-and-coming singers, actors, models, dancers, doing free portfolios for people for free. Building up a little portfolio of our own. Then because Amit's dad was such an enthusiast in photography, he had bought all the lights and they had redecorated the house. So the living room was now all white and we could put a backdrop up and do like studio shots in there. And then 2 years later, we bought our own studio and, the rest is history, as they say. So I've literally been navigating myself through life, constantly finding who I am.
Yeah.
And now at stage around 43, and I would say it's only when I really got into my 40s that I really felt like I know who I am as a man. And I think, I can't speak for all men, but I think a lot of the time we find ourselves through our hardest battles. And we really learn who are we, what are my values, what are my beliefs. And I've got cousin brothers who are early 30s who I always talk to, and they all really respect me. And I'm their friend, their cousin, their brother, their mentor, could be anything to them. But I always try to give them advice in terms of like, you're still finding your way.
Yeah.
Go through this. And because men, I find we need to be molded a lot of the time through experiences. Because otherwise, like, I know we're going to talk about this, I'm a father too.
Yeah.
If I didn't have responsibility, men, a lot of the time, we'd just be kids. I'd just probably be hungover and sit at home and waste my time. But I've got responsibilities. I've got responsibilities of a business, as a father, as a boyfriend, as a son, as a brother. And so those are the things which have defined me as to who I am now. But I would say I'm most comfortable with this version of Naroop than I've ever been in my life.
That's really lovely to hear. And something's really common. I hear a lot of people in their 40s. They all say the same thing. They've got to their 40s. They've tried lots of different things. They feel a lot more settled. They're still on that journey of who am I and what am I going to be. You've still got many years ahead of you. But thanks for sharing that story about your dad's business, because I said to you when we spoke on the phone a while ago, on the Zoom call, that we met as family friends at a wedding. And I remembered your mum and dad had a business, and all I remembered was you and your brother in the most funkiest jeans ever. And we were all like, Where did they get those genes from? That's what I remember for you and your brother, with these amazing genes. So, but like I say, like, you're an amazing role model for your family members, and like, it sounds like your dad was a really great role model for you and teaching you those lessons.
Yeah.
But when he was going through, like you said, he built the empire and then the empire collapsed. What sort of conversations was he having with you and your brother about that? Was it pretty open conversation, or were you just watching the process?
That's a really, really good question. My dad is a great father, as everyone would say about their parents and their fathers and mothers. He's a great man, but he's always allowed us to shine ourselves. He gives guidance, but he never pushes, which is the way I've chosen to raise my daughter. And he actually said to me, he goes, Naroop, even though he sent me to private school, me and my brother both educated privately from day dot, right? And it wasn't like they had loads of money in the bank, because I'm looking at schools now for my daughter, right? And I said to them, did you have like a whole, like, you know, I've got 4 years reserves of money in the account to pay for the education? He said, no, we just did it term by term. We found a way, right? And then, you know, we went to Latimer, which is a very good school. So it wasn't easy. And, you know, I was born and raised in Southall. So there's two parents from Southall to think, I'm going to send our children to Hammersmith, to this. It was a good endeavor. They were quite progressive in their thinking, and not just settling for something nearby. But he said to me, he said, I will never tell you what to do or who to marry. They are your decisions. They will define you as a man. And he's always given me respect. And so when his business was going down, I think personally, I think he probably didn't express his feelings fully, right? Because he's of that generation where men weren't taught to talk about it. I've never seen him cry. You know, I can tell when he's upset, when he's a bit quiet.
Yeah.
But he never, if I say to him, you're right, he goes, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
With me, you can't stop me talking, right? But that comes down to how he was raised.
Absolutely.
And what my granddad was like, and who he had to become as the oldest son in the family.
Yeah.
And how he had to internalize certain things to be strong. But what he has done and always has done is been the biggest dreamer, been the optimist. He never thinks it's too late. Always thinks there's a chance. Always keeps supporting, right? And never has doubted me. Even when we haven't been making any money when we started off, never said, Naroop, I sent you to private school, dude, and this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just think about it. My brother's a singer, and I worked in film and photography now to cover my other businesses. Never said, I sent you guys to private school and this is what you're going to do. Why are you not doctors? Why are you not, you know, accountants or lawyers? Bear in mind that the other members of my family who went to private school have gone down and are doing amazing work, the more traditional route, and have done great, but has never said, oh, look, they've done that. Why don't you guys do it?
Yeah.
Even when it was difficult. Nope. This is your path. Chase your dreams. And he said to me, he said, I would rather you work for yourself than anybody else. It was never his intention for me to work for anyone else or my brother. You know, he did say, look, maybe get some work experience somewhere. And I went to some interviews for investment banks. And I did actually get offered a job. But I just it's the whole suit life isn't me. Yeah. Right? And then I started working with my dad. But he is very proud of us. One thing I could tell both my mum and dad, if you ask them, especially like what my brother's achieved, he's very, very proud of us. And we both chased our dreams and both are living the dream.
And I think that's a really beautiful message, because there are lots of people that I know, like you, so gone through private school and they feel really guilty if they didn't do the traditional route. So it's really nice that you and your brother haven't gone that traditional route and you've not been made to feel guilty, you know. Speaking of dads, let's deep dive into this dads project that I'm really excited about. What's it all about?
So the dad project came about because I am a single father. I've got a beautiful daughter who's now 9, whose name is Lara, and we had done this project called the Sing Project, which evolved into the Seek Project, and then the book Turbans and Tales, and that was a massive project for myself and Amit, where we took portraits of 76 US and UK Sikh people with initially just men, and then when we went to the US it was men and women, exhibitions and a book, and it was fantastic. And we were always looking to do a follow-up project, and not to do something that could be better than that, but something which did have as much impact. And it's hard to find an idea which has strong impact because a lot of the time it just organically happens. You can't force an idea like that, because if you sit there and try to whiteboard and put on a whiteboard and try to brainstorm it, it's not natural, right? And so when I became a single father, and especially single father of color, I noticed there was a certain stigma around single dads of color, that the reason you are a single dad is probably you did something wrong.
Okay.
Right? And that dads aren't capable to take care of their children as well as mothers are. And I am very aware that mothers and fathers have very separate roles, but I disagree with that statement a lot. I know there are examples of fathers who are absent, but I think there's also a lot of women and mothers who are absent too.
Yeah.
And I don't think that narrative is told. And I personally think the courts are biased in a lot of ways, in terms of the amount of fathers that I've spoken to who are not getting custody of their children or as much as they want, because then the court naturally favours the mum, is shocking and it's heartbreaking. So I thought, do you know what? I want to show and highlight these single dads of colour who are amazing dads. Dads who haven't become single fathers because of something they've done wrong. Whatever circumstances led to their separation with their partner, they still want to be good dads. And they are role models.
Yeah.
And I am divorced, and I was in a long relationship. And I worked through that. And my greatest pain through becoming divorced was this idea that I'm not going to be present 100% for my daughter. Okay. And so I had to do a lot of self-work to get myself to a place where I could rebuild my life after such a long relationship and be the role model father that I wanted to be. And through that journey, I grew into this man, into this version of Naroop that I am now, which I'm so proud of when I look in the mirror. And I think I am a good dad. And I think it's nice to say that, to celebrate and say, I'm a good father. I am doing the best I can. But it pains me to see other single dads who are struggling.
Yeah.
Because somehow the universe and the way I was raised helped me in this moment. Now, my father always pushed me to read books, positive mental attitude books, a lot of the time, successful books, biographies. And I truly believe that it was through that and this self-image that I've always had of myself. I've always held myself in high esteem. I've always had a very positive, high self-image. I only accept the best for myself. That's not me being showing off or being arrogant. It's just I know what I need to deliver and where my potential is. And my ceiling is very, very high. I'm not even close to it, right? And so I said to myself, this moment will not define me, and I will not be held back by this. And so what took some people 10 years to get through, I did in a matter of months. And it doesn't mean I've left stuff in the basement and I've locked stuff away that's going to one day explode and cause a meltdown. No, I was very pragmatic and logical in my thinking about how do I move forward in this moment. And so the Single Dad Project is a way for me to extend my reach and share my thoughts on how to be a good single dad and how to get through any difficulties any single fathers might be going through. So what we did, when I say we, myself and my business partner Amit, we interviewed and photographed 10 single fathers of color, myself included. And we took one portrait of each of them. Obviously took a lot of photos, but one final portrait, and then we interviewed them. And the interviews sit alongside it. And the interviews is where all the juice is, where all the gold is. Talking to these fathers, talking about their struggles, talking about how they overcame the difficulties, talk about how they operate now as single fathers, advice they can give to single fathers. And we're going to put it out, and we want to launch it next month, when it's Men's Mental Health Month, just slowly. Mm-hmm. And then I want to grow it. But I have to do it in a way that I can do it justice. Yeah. Because it is a labor of love. It's not a money-making thing. Mm-hmm. I would like to turn it into something bigger. Maybe a platform for single dads, a website, Instagram page, whatever it may be. Wherever it takes me, I will allow it to take me. But I just want to help single dads.
Yeah, I really love that. And I think... you know, I've got a lot of friends who have been through your journey, and you know, they're going to be so grateful to hear what you're saying, and saying it on a platform where it can reach a lot more people. That's one thing I love about the podcast. Your message can go to so many more people. But one thing, you know, they've struggled with is they've probably not had the greatest healing journey that you've had. So if someone's listening right now, could you give them a tip of something you did just to help you get out of that dark space?
Definitely. So there's many things that I did, but I think there was one kind of philosophy that I kept in mind, which is life is just too short, right? So I had 2 therapy sessions when I first found out that I was going to be separating. And the therapist, I felt in the first session, didn't tell me anything that I didn't know. It's not arrogance. It's just, I've read a lot of books. I know this stuff. And so in between that first and second session in the week, I went online and I was looking at so much stuff. I did deep dive, how to recover from trauma, how to heal. And I saw this article by Deepak Chopra. And he said a number of different points. Don't dwell on what was and no longer exists, etc., etc. But he said something which was really important. He said, replace old memories with new memories. Replace old memories with new memories. And so I thought, that's so powerful. And I remember when the night that I found out me and my ex-partner no longer to be together, I lay in the bed and I said, this moment will not define me. I want people to know that Naroop came out of this a better man. And so I took immediate action. So what did that involve? 1, okay, new memories over old memories. I went on my first date 2 weeks after. Not because I was then, let me go and speak to loads of women. No, let me just break my patterns. Let me break the patterns I had before. So I went on a first date with someone that I knew. It was great. It's the first date I've had since I was 15. Right? Totally foreign to me. I was 41 then, right? No, 40, whatever, 41. Totally foreign to me. I was like, what is this? Right? I changed my gym. Why? Because my old gym had memories of my routine I used to do. I changed where I worked from. I went to a different workplace company. So different offices, different journey to work. I started changing a lot of things in my life. Old memories replaced by new memories. I then also realized that, and this is what one of the fathers actually said to me in the interviews, but it was the same philosophy that I had thought of, that I can hold on to this feeling of anger, pain, resentment, and just carry it around with me like bricks in a backpack, right? And it will just weigh me down. And I'm like, is this going to tire me? And you're physically, like, what people don't appreciate is that how much your mental thoughts affect your body.
Yeah.
So much more than we could ever know, right? People just got no understanding. There's such a disassociation between mind and body, right? So I'm like, I can carry these bricks, or I can say, do you know what? I'm just going to drop this backpack here. See you later. And I dropped it. And I found a way to accept what was and say that no longer is. There's no going back. There's no looking over my shoulder. There's only the future. And then I used to think, I could think about how life's going to be so bad now, or I could think how amazing life is going to be now. Look at these opportunities that are open to me. And I listened to this on a podcast the other day, and it was really interesting. And this guy said, when things happen to us, who are we to assume that this is a good thing or a bad thing that's happened? Like, do we know everything of the future? That we can tell the future that this thing's happened, that's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes the things that happen to us that are bad are actually the best things for us, but we just don't know it.
Yeah.
So how do you react to that moment?
Yeah.
And then now looking back at it, that moment and the life I'm living now, it had to happen. It was always written.
Yeah.
Right? And I have become more spiritual, but when I see the steps and where I am now, it had to happen.
Yeah.
And when you look at it like that and you think, okay, there are so many opportunities that can open up to me now.
Yeah.
Right? Not saying you don't process it. And I also spoke to a lot of friends. I had my brother, I had 2 best friends, and my business partner. They were the 4 who I'd probably opened up to the most. And I would call and they would listen and they would just take their time. And I have thanked them repeatedly. They know who they are. I thank them repeatedly. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. One of my friends would just give me advice on dates.
Hmm.
Because I didn't know. Right?
Yeah.
And then my brother would pick me up because he knew the Naroop.
Yeah.
Come on, Naroop. You know, Amit said to me, Naroop, I know your marriage is over, but because I always thought my relationship with Amit was my second marriage. He said, dude, I would never leave you. Don't worry.
Oh.
So these are the kind of things that helped me. But and what I say to fathers is, one, and to people, is talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Don't, especially men, don't internalize it.
Yeah.
Talk. There's nothing wrong with crying. I've cried many times. I'm not ashamed to say it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your body just like, do you know what? Just get rid of this energy.
You
Right?
release.
Shed the energy, right? And then two, start to change your experiences. Do stuff that you've never done. And then you start to see the world in a different way. And then three, who knows whether what happened to you is good or bad? You don't know.
Yeah.
Why not think positive?
Absolutely.
You can even look at it and think, oh, that's such a bad thing. Or you can think, how amazing could this be? And so that's what I did. And then as I started to meet other people, I started to think, wow, people really reflect this different version of myself that I've never seen of myself.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because if you're only meeting the same people and you've got the same partner who you've known for all these years, and you've got the same friends groups, they know you. So you know the version of yourself that they're seeing.
Yeah.
Where if you start meeting different people, you're like, whoa, this person's noticed this about me. This person, again, you feel better. Especially for men. I know I'm going on a bit, but this is, and I say this to a lot of people, I'm like, and this is not me being Mr. Macho masculinity, and, you know, I always think a man, and I can only speak from my perspective, whenever they look at themselves in the mirror in the morning, they should be proud of the man that they see.
Yeah.
Right? That means physically, which I probably think is the most important. I'm not talking about if you're good looking or not, is, are you taking the best care of your body? Because health is number one. I've always trained, I've always worked out. And a lot of my feelings I took out in the gym, right? Are you the best version of yourself physically? Are you healthy? Do you look good? Have you got a bit of muscle on you? So when people look at you, they respect you, because people naturally do, right? Can you be proud of what you're doing or daily actions? Are you lost in this world of distractions? Or are you actually giving time to yourself, firstly, and the people that you love?
Yeah.
Now, and if you can look at yourself and say, I am proud of this man,
then
the rest of your day is a win. But if you look at yourself, you're like, oh God, and you can't, some people have told me they can't look at themselves in the mirror, right? Then your day's lost. So work to a point, and I guess it's the same applies for women too. Work to a point where you're proud of the person that you are in the mirror. Because then you're going to get that natural rush of good energy and good feelings, and your day's going to be good. So that's what I try. That's what I've done. Create systems that have allowed me to feel that way about myself.
I really love that, and I love the analogy of sort of like, you know, letting go of that rucksack, the weight, and you feel lighter. Because also for single parents who've got children, their children, I always say to my friends who are, you know, taking out on the mum or the dad, and I'm like, your kids are watching you. You know, so when you're exhausted or angry, they see it all, even though they might not say it, they might be smaller. You know, and your daughter wants to see the best version of her dad when you're together, you know, rather than, you know, your mind is elsewhere. But one thing you've got is, which not a lot of single parents have, is you've had a psychological safe space to speak up. Like, you weren't judged. You weren't have friends saying like, man up, and all the ego there. You've had a really great community. And I think that's what I love about the Dad's Project. If someone doesn't have that in their personal life, the Dad's Project will be something for somebody. Is that what you're hoping for, that someone can just join you, so once you launch it, they can be more involved? Exactly.
So the whole reason of creating it as well was, when I first separated, I was looking for like a alcohol anonymous equivalent, like somewhere I could go physically, and there were single dads and we could talk about it, where there wasn't anything. All there was these Instagram pages, a lot of them in America, which the culture is a little bit different, right? So that was annoying. I'm like, give me some advice. Like, will I feel okay? I think that's ultimately what I was going to want to know. Will I be okay? Because I was so scared. The only analogy I can describe is of just fog. Before my life was so clear. Before my life was so clear, and had always been this planner that if I put this much into my stocks and shares ISA every year, it will go up like this, and I've got this investment and this business, and I was like, what does that even mean now? There's this fog. So please tell me it's going to be okay. Right, that's all I wanted. Well, there wasn't that. So yes, that's what I would like for the Dad's Project. Even if someone can pick up one
Yes.
bit of information,
Definitely.
and it's all mindset. Like, your kids are connected to you because you created them, right? And so your energy and your feelings that you're feeling will radiate onto them, and without you realizing it, you actually do influence their behavior based on how you feel. It's all connection. People are so lost in how, as humans, as beings of energy, the impact we have. So one thing I would say, and this is difficult for a lot of people, especially if you've been in abusive relationships, come to peace with your partner.
Yeah.
Come to peace, because you cannot move forward if you cannot come to peace. And forgiveness is one, whatever it might be. Forgive, because they're cracking on with their life. So forgive. And one thing one of the dads said to me was, remember, the person that you may hate is a person that your children love. So you have to come to peace with that. It doesn't mean you've got to be best buds, and boundaries are really important.
Yeah.
Boundaries, healthy, good boundaries, important. But at least let's come to peace with it.
Yeah.
Work to be amicable.
Yeah, definitely.
Work to be in a place where nothing affects your emotions. Where you've come to such a beautiful place internally.
Yeah.
That they can't then sway how you feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that will affect any future relationship you have. That will affect your work life. That will affect your own peace, mental peace. And people just don't do that. That's why some people are 10 years down the line and haven't got into a new relationship, or their health has suffered. And I'm like, you are letting this person do that to you.
Yeah.
Are you crazy? Like, it's done.
Yeah. Sorry, that made me really emotional.
No, but I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult. And it is, but it's also in some ways simple.
Yeah.
In the words, just let it go.
Do you know, speaking of simple, I was watching your amazing Instagram page, and there was a post you did. I just want to read it out for those that haven't seen it, but you mentioned a phrase, amor fati. I don't know if I said it right. The love of one's fate.
Yeah.
If you can come to peace with your journey and what you've had to experience up to this point, then you can truly move forward and not look back with any resentment or regret. And that's sort of what you're saying, isn't it? And that's such a beautiful phrase.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading about it and I thought, wow, you really have to love everything that happens to you. And so, and my partner, who I'm with now, is so in tune with how I think and feel. And thinks the same thing, is this idea that everything that happens to us is happening for a reason.
Yeah.
And I know people can say, and I'm a big proponent of this idea that you can't just sit there and do nothing. Right? But whatever you're going through for a reason.
Yes.
And you will always be exactly where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
Always. Right? So what is the universe trying to tell you? And it's up to you whether you want to see and seek the lessons, or whether you just dismiss it. And too much of us are so absorbed in ourselves because of social media and this false sense of grandeur, which it is absolutely. I mean, I use Instagram, but I don't let it define who I am.
Yeah.
Right? We're so absorbed in that you're losing touch. People are losing touch of what the universe is trying to tell you. And those people that can not be distracted, right? Because the bar of success is so low now. Because everyone is sitting there distracted, that even if you can do something that's half decent, you're going to be a success.
Yeah.
And so if you can actually for 1 minute put the phone down and just look around and think, why is the universe made me go through this? Like, what is it trying to tell me? Then you will find beauty in everything.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a phrase I always have in my head, which is, the universe is doing it for you, not to you.
Yeah.
And it helps you just sort of let go and let it be.
It's such a beautiful feeling. I've got it as one of my affirmations on the board. The universe is working with me, not against me. Because then you're not feeling a victim.
Yeah.
You're thinking, no, I need to do this. People sit there, I live in this rainy England. There's other people who are living in Dubai. I'm like, and what? you're not meant to be there. If you were, you would be there.
Yeah.
You're here for a reason.
Absolutely.
Live where you are, because true happiness isn't on your surroundings, is here. There's so many other things that wherever you are, wherever you go, there you are. So
Yeah.
you'll always carry your problems with you.
Yeah.
You can't escape it. So come to peace with here. And so Amor Fati is that idea of loving your fate. Oh, great. Guess what? I didn't land that job, but there's a reason.
Yeah. Something better out there.
It's such a simple way, but people are lost. And I don't want to sound like I'm this 43-year-old who's against social media, so I'm not, because I think it's beautiful in terms of you can really create anything that you want.
Yeah.
But it's got to be done in a disciplined way.
Definitely.
And one of my friends, actually, one of my brother's friends, who's very famous, everyone would know her if I said her name, actually, when she posts, she then deletes the app off her phone and only reinstalls it when she wants to post again, because she doesn't want to get caught in that
The
trap.
likes and the comments.
And that person said that.
Mm.
So the detachment from it is important too, and really focusing on who you are. So I think if people can try to think of life like that, it's I was on the train the other day, and I was just looking at people and sat there and obviously not on my phone, and just being grateful for where I am. And there's this rush of energy came through that I'm just sitting here looking at trees, and I'm looking at these people, and I could be anywhere. We could be in Lebanon right now, or we could be in any country where stuff is getting crazy, but yet we're safe.
We're safe, 100%. And I think one thing that's helped me through my journey being a single mum as well, like journaling's been really amazing. Like every night do my gratitude, and just simple things like I'm so grateful just to be in a happy home. My kids are so amazing, etc. So my thing that I would say to people is it's not for everybody, but journaling's a thing that's I think helped me heal and put everything down on paper and be like, wow, I am so blessed, with everything I've got. And my parents say to me as well is, Resh, you're 47, but you are the best version of Resham we've ever seen. And it's so nice for your parents, because in that generation, when you tell them you're going through a divorce, they think like, oh my God, doom and gloom, how are you going to pay mortgage? Are you going to lose your house? And they just see like, Resh, you are thriving.
That's Indian culture.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing I say, is like, why rush anything? Yeah. Life, they say, is short, but it's also really long. Like anything can happen at and that's the beauty of life. I've read this quote by Gary Vee. I don't know if you're familiar. He said, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to love uncertainty. And I was telling somebody this at a family function. I love uncertainty. Yes, there's certain things you want to be sure about, but I don't want someone to tell me I'm only going to be earning 40 grand a year. I do business as an entrepreneur. I don't care if I haven't got paid that month because we have to reinvest. I want to know that literally nothing can stop where I'm going to go. Yeah. And life and relationships, everything can be like that. If you just let go of this idea that I have to be married by this age, and if you're divorced, so people worry about that. When it comes, it will come, and you will meet the right person, or it might be later than you think. But then, if it was any earlier, then you might not have met that person when you were 50, who you're always meant to meet, who now becomes the love of your life. Yeah. So if you just, again, it's this idea of letting it go and just flowing through it, which I think is really important. But Indian culture does, especially for women, I think it's not nice to think that you're feeling pressured, because then you might settle for somebody who comes, or you might sacrifice some of your values and beliefs on what you want in a man. Yeah, there's plenty of good men out there, there really are, but they're on their grind, they're doing their thing, and that's what you want. As a man, you want a man on a mission, and you also want a woman who's got goals. Exactly. And that's one thing I would say to people when they're trying to heal from anything, is find something that you can put your energy into. Because you don't have to then achieve it to be happy, but just progressing in that thing, and knowing that actually I've taken one step forward today, and whatever it might be a martial arts or a sport or anything, I've actually got better at this one thing. And now, guess what? You want to get even better. Especially if men and women start going to the gym, you start losing weight, start putting a bit of muscle on. That first time someone says, wow, man, you're looking good. Yeah. You never want it to be the opposite. Where, oh, man, you went downhill. Yeah. Again, and give yourself these natural things. Create the best environment for you to win on different levels. Absolutely. It's like talking about culture. And you said, like, for single dads, they get a certain comment when people find out they're going through a divorce. The first comment I got when I told people I was going through a divorce was, do you have to sell your house? Because they didn't think I could financially support myself. I said, look, I'm very blessed. I earn a good living. And no, we will be staying in our home, and I will
be remortgaging. And it was like a shock to, especially to all the auntie Gs that were like, but they're probably never in that position. But like now, like you said, the first people are you not dating? I'm like, I'm so enjoying being single. I haven't been single since I was a teenager, and then someone said to me, you're going to find your passion. And my passion is my podcast. I've met some amazing people. And even my family say, Bresh, every time we listen to an episode of yours, we learn more about you, because then I start to open up about something. And I find my conversations with my guests so healing as well, because I learn from my guests. But you're right. I think what you're doing for not just dads, but single dads of colour, I think is amazing. My son is 10, and I hope that when he's in his 30s and 40s, they're all in that space where they're all openly talking about things. They don't have to shy away, and there's no stigmas, and they're going to be in a better world for us. But we have a closing question. I could talk to you forever, especially about spirituality, because we're both on a similar journey. But this is called the Now I Know podcast, and we've learned so much. You're in your 40s now. With everything you've learned, Naroop, what would you go back and tell, like, the teenage Naroop about his future? What advice would you give him?
I'd probably say that you're stronger than you think. Because it's I could end up crying. I could end up crying. No, it's what but it's obviously this is a very shallow dive into my life, and a lot more has happened. But my life has been challenging for many reasons. I was bullied when I was younger because of my eye condition. I had to live knowing that I was finding my career very difficult, and seeing other people succeed around me seemingly so easily, and here I was trying to follow this passion. And I remember, like, when I was like 25, 26, my uni mates wanted to link up. They're like, yeah, let's go for dinner. We're going to go to Nando's. And in their mind, I'm this business owner, so I'm making all this money. But I literally had to turn over this coin of this jar of coins and find £12 in coins to go and pay for the food, because everything was going back into the business and paying our studio costs. And I was like, man, what am I doing this for? Like, what, really? But then I had no plan B. I've never worked for anybody in my life. I've got no CV. Nothing. I've never had a job interview in my life. But now I look back and I'm like, wow, I wouldn't change any of that. And I've always had this analogy, and I think this could help people a lot of the time, is that when you are ready, it will come, right? And the analogy is like, if you're making a gold bar, first, what's the first thing you make? Is the mold, right? Once the mold's ready, then you pour the gold in it and you get the gold bar. But if the mold's not ready and you just pour the gold just goes on the floor and it runs off and it becomes a puddle of mess. So through my life,
I love that.
I've had to become the mold. And the mold is what? The mold is bullying at a young age. It's building businesses and they're not being easy, wasting a lot of money, making wrong decisions, having a long relationship, and then coming to an end and rebuilding again and being a single dad. But it made them all stronger, and they're all stronger. And I firmly believe with every cell in my body that the gold is poured in now, because the mold is now ready. And 43 for me is still young. Yeah. I mean, my goals and that I'm going to achieve and that I'm working on and I am achieving are fantastic. The areas that my businesses are in are so exciting. Like, I could literally, if I was to write out the dream of what I want to do, I'm living it. Literally living it, and it's so exciting. And so that's what I would say. I'd go back and say, don't worry, you're stronger than you think. And I think, but that's for everybody.
Yeah.
We only touch the surface of what we're able to endure and come through and become. And I wish more people would believe in themselves more. Yeah. But then everyone's on their own journey, and you can't teach anyone this. They have to feel it.
They have to go through it.
They have to feel it, especially as men. They have to open up. The single dads that I've met are the most open men, because they've been wounded, and that wound has forced them to be open. And when they've healed, they've become this new version, and it's a beautiful version. And ultimately, we all want to be, as parents, we want to be amazing parents for our children. We want to be role models.
Definitely.
And sometimes through this, you become a better parent than you ever thought you ever could be.
yeah.
So I don't think you ever lose. I think if you've got the mindset right, and don't get me wrong, there are people who probably aren't ideal single parents, but the ones that are trying their best, all your child ever wants for you is for you to love them. And I think if people realize that, men, we want to provide, women, we want to provide, there's lots of things we want to do for them, but just don't let that distract you from the love.
Yeah.
Because they'll never remember, oh, Dad, you bought me a new pair of Nikes when I was 9 years old. Thank you. They'll be like, Dad, you loved me throughout all of my childhood, and Mum, you loved me unconditionally.
Yeah.
So that would be my thing. Everybody is stronger than they think they are.
Thank you so much, Naroop.
My pleasure.
It's been absolutely lovely having you. I'd love to have you on again when the project is launched and see how it's all going. And but yeah, just I'm so grateful you had it. And it was all about timing. I know we were discussing when to have it, and then we're like, oh, it's Mental Health Awareness Month as well. But that's the message I'll say to everyone as well listening. Everything's about timing as well, and you just got to be patient and just let go. Trust, definitely.
Trust, yeah.
But thank you, Naroop. Thank you
pleasure.
so much for being on the episode, and to my audience, thank you for listening.